Well, hello everyone. Welcome to our Chapter 4 QuickBooks video lecture. We're going to begin on page 152 of your textbook, where you're given a trial balance showing each account balance as of October 31st. So do a comparison and make sure you are showing those amounts for each account as you see on the trial balance shown in your textbook on page 152. We're now going to reconcile the balance shown in our checking ledger account against the balance shown on the bank statement on page 153 and 154 of your textbook. If you notice, the bank statement shows the ending cash balance of $50,803.56, which I have here because I started the reconcile process and I noticed that once you start it, you can't go back and redo it. So I'm going to give you some information, although it may be a little different on my screen. But pretty much you see there's a bank service charge that was charged on page 153 that we need to add to our account. Okay? So to begin this process, and again, I've already started, so I didn't realize that once you started it, you couldn't stop it. So some of the steps in your textbook I can't do right now because I've done them already, but hopefully you should be able to follow these steps and get it done. Okay? So we're going to go to accounting and then choose our chart of accounts. And then click the button where it says to reconcile. It's going to ask you which account to reconcile. Choose your checking. Yours will say reconcile, but because I started already, I'll click where it says to resume reconciling, and I'll walk you through the actual process. So you're going to click on the Get Started button, and once you click on the Get Started button, it's on page 155, you then click where it says Let's Do It, or yours may say to reconcile. What you're now going to do when you start the reconciling process, you see here, I have a clear balance of $20 because I went out there and I had to add the bank service charge at the bottom of page 155. So follow those steps to add the bank service charge, where you're going to put in the $20 for the bank service charge, and you're going to put that to account 603, which is for the bank charge and fees. That account should show up automatically. So again, you're going to follow the information on page 155 in your textbook in order to start the reconcile process. Okay, so you see here, this is what I did. I put in the service charge $20 and it went to bank account 603. Okay, so I'm gonna click on the save button, and we now want to reconcile so that the checking account balance will be the same as the balance that's shown on our ledger account. Okay, and let's see, because I had the option to, I'm gonna click all to clear it balance. And again, I do apologize. It may be a little different because I've already went through the process, and I don't know if it's going to allow me to go back and follow all the steps that you're showing in your textbook. So you want to get to page 157 where it says finish now, and your end goal is so that your balance that's shown on that bank statement matches the balance that is shown in your cash ledger account, the 50,803.56, which again I've done already. I'm trying to see how far I could go back and make any changes, but because I went through the process already, it looks like it's not going to allow me to make any additional changes during the registration process. So I do apologize for that, but I didn't realize that you once you did it that you couldn't go back and redo it. But I do want to show you here that the bank charging fees has been added to my register. So now the for my chart of accounts, if I go back to my chart of accounts, we're going to see that my checking account balance is the same as the balance that's shown on the actual cash ledger. Okay, so hopefully you're able to follow those steps on page 157 to do the actual reconcile process. Now, what we can do, we're going to look at an actual report for reconciliation, beginning on page 158. So go to your reports, and most likely under your banking section, we want to find the reconciliation report. So again, go to your reports, and it'll probably be under your banking section. We're looking for the reconciliation report. Okay. Hopefully you're having fun so far using the QuickBooks software. Again, QuickBooks is the most widely used software by small business owners, and it is pretty user-friendly software. Okay. So let's get to the banking. Might be in this section, but we're looking for it is. So click on the reconciliation report. And so the history here says 365 days ago. And we want to click where it says to view the report. So that may be a little further down here. Where's my little toolbar? So now one, did I not finish that? Let me click on resume reconciling. Um, okay, get this out the way. So I probably didn't complete the process. Let me click here. There we go. Yes, select all. So these are some of the steps that I thought I completed. And now I get to the finish now. You see now that there's a difference of 0. Everything has been reconciled. So now click on the finish now button. And this is what I should have saw earlier, but I wasn't. So I thought I was done, but I wasn't. But that's okay. So now click on the done button. And now I have completed the reconcile process. If you need that report, again, you would go to your reports tab, go all the way down to under the banking section. We now know where it's at. And now click on the reconcile reports. And now there it is. And we'll click on the review report, statement ending date. And then if you needed to print this report out, then you're just going to export the report to a PDF file and submit that as required. Okay, so we're done there. So now we're going to go over to, I'm just kind of following all of the transactions in the textbook. The next transactions will begin on page 162, and we're going to add in some vendors. So I'm going to go to expenses and then click on vendors. And it is showing us the current vendors that we have in our system. And let's see if we're going to add in some new vendors on page 163. They're showing us a list of transactions. They want us to click on a certain one. Let's see which one should we click on. So here we see the transaction register. And again, it's showing the different vendors. So it looks like they're just showing us some transactions, but we're not actually adding in new information here. So I'm going to skip this section and get to some actual transactions, which look like we are going to do a transaction beginning on page 164. Again, we're going to do a transaction beginning on page 164. We're going to write a check to the gas company. We're going to pay our gas bill. All right. So go to the box where you see SPR gas, extra vendor. Here, I'm going to double click on SPR gas to bring them up as a vendor. Okay. And we're going to do a new transaction for SPR gas. So I'll click on new transaction. And we're going to write a check. So the payee is going to be SPR gas. Change your date to November the 1st. So change your date to 11/1. The category should be, let's see, the check number they gave us should be 1026. That's going to be a check number. The category 635 is going to be for the utility expense. Where's my utility expenses coming up? Did I pass it? Yep, there it is. I need to edit that so the account number shows up. So utility expense is going to be the number, put in paid monthly bill, and the amount is for $84.32. Again, $84.32 is going to be the amount of the bill. So once you have in your payee, payment date, check number, category, utility expense, your description, as well as the amount, $84.32, go down to the bottom, and we're going to click on where it says save and close. All right, so again, my screen wasn't showing it correct, so I'm going to click here where it says save and close because it wasn't showing up there, and I'm going to reopen that so we can see that entire transaction. Okay, so now just to make sure that that transaction has been posted, let's take a quick look at our chart of accounts. So I'm going to go to my gear icon this time and just go to chart of accounts. And if I look at my cash balance, see my cash balance doesn't match what they're showing on page 165. So did I miss a transaction? So let's see. Actually, yes, because on page 163, there's a total of 5 transactions to be done. I only did the one. So I'm going to go ahead and record those other 4 transactions. So stay tuned for part 2 of our chapter 4 video lecture.